Discovering my fiancé's shocking betrayal days before our wedding, an incredible journey of heartbreak, Jake stood in his garage, hands deep in engine grease, heart racing with excitement. He was just days away from marrying Emily, the love of his life. The laughter that echoed from their wedding planning sessions, the way she lit up in a dress, made everything feel perfect. His mother had been baking desserts, while his dad held on to the values of hard work that shaped Jake just like the family he'd always dreamed of having with Emily. But then, in the most ordinary moment, everything shifted. As Jake wiped his brow, he accidentally knocked over his toolbox. Instead of cursing, he chuckled, "It wasn't tea worth sweating over." However, as he bent to pick up the scattered tools, an envelope slipped from under the car seat. It wasn't his. Jake's heart fluttered with a mix of confusion and intrigue. Peeking inside, his stomach dropped. Credit card bills, expensive ones with unrecognizable merchants. Was this a mistake? He decided to check. What he found turned his world upside down. Emily's extravagant purchases were funded by loans and debts, a financial web of deception spun behind their seemingly idyllic romance. His breath quickened. The very foundation of their love felt like it was crumbling. The next few days were tormenting. Jake's heart ached with betrayal while Emily beamed through their final wedding preparations. The weight of each secret she held felt like heavy chains binding his soul. When Emily smiled, the warmth melted him, but panic flickered beneath the surface. Was this the woman he was about to marry? Family dinners became a battleground of tension. Jake's mom would wipe tears from her cheeks, whispering things about forgiveness. His dad prided himself on second chances, but his sister was adamant. "You deserve better than this." She'd scold, wild eyes meeting his in anxious fervor. The neighborhood buzzed, everyone chimed in, all those knowing whispers lurking around every corner. Jake felt suffocated by love and betrayal all at once. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. He needed to confront Emily. Underneath the picnic altar draped in white fabric at the local community festival, she appeared radiant, yet somehow distant. With a lump in his throat, he finally called her out, his voice shaking with emotion. "Emily, how can we build a future on lies?" he said, flashing back to simpler times, their fingers entwined while chasing fireflies. The crowd turned silent. Shock rippled through as he laid bare the pain she'd inflicted. She fought back tears, revealing her own struggles with insecurity, wanting to fit into a world that demanded perfection. "I just wanted us to have it all," she cried, familiar fears washing over her. In that summer sun, Jake stood terrified yet resolute. Could love endure betrayal? Heart racing and choices heavy on his chest, he grappled with a decision that would change everything. As the festival lights twinkled around him, he felt hope flicker like those dimming bulbs. Would his heart follow love or self-respect? The night deepened, uncertainty loomed, and the question lingered: what lay ahead in the shadows of this shattered dream? Jake left the festival, the weight of Emily's confession still hanging heavy in the air. The laughter and music faded behind him, leaving only the sound of his footsteps crunching on gravel. Each step felt more profound, as if with each footfall he was leaving behind pieces of his heart. Back at home, Jake sank onto the living room couch, his mind racing. The walls around him felt like they were closing in. He could still hear her voice, the mixture of desperation and hope that colored her plea. Was it really about wanting to have it all? Or was it about something deeper, a hunger for acceptance, validation? The scent of his mother's baking wafted in from the kitchen, a reminder of the warmth and closeness he craved. Yet tonight, it felt tainted. The sweet aroma turned bitter as Jake remembered the whispers of doubt his family had shared. They loved him, cared for him. Yet they were torn too, caught in this web of uncertainty, feasting on trust they had believed was rock solid. He scrolled through his phone, pausing on a picture of Emily that they had taken months ago, her laughter radiating joy, eyes sparkling with life. What happened? He whispered to himself, feeling tears prick his eyes. His heart ached for that spark, but it felt so far away now, like flickering embers in the night. Moments later, the front door swung open, and in walked Emily, her face flushed from the festival. The joy she had carried moments ago diminished under the weight of their confrontation. She looked every bit the bride, adorned in her simple yet elegant dress. But tonight, she was not the vision of blissful innocence. Tonight, she personified the fragile, shaky remnants of a relationship hanging by a thread. "Jake," she began, her voice barely above a whisper, "I'm so sorry. I never meant to hurt you." Instead of the softness that usually warmed his heart, her words felt like daggers. "But you did," he shot back, struggling to contain the tears that threatened to spill over. "You lied to me, Emily. This isn't just about money, it's about trust. Can we ever truly go back to what we once had?" Her lip quivered, and he could see her reflection in his hopeless gaze. For a heartbeat, it seemed as if she might crumble. Jake's heartbeat drummed in his chest, the silence heavy around them. "We can work through this." Emily reached for his hand, but he withdrew, the distance between them suddenly insurmountable. "Please, let us talk about this talk." Jake scoffed, the bitterness spilling over. "How do we even begin to talk when every word feels tainted by the lies?" Emily flinched, her face falling in the swirling storm of emotions around them. The vulnerability, the rawness, it was almost suffocating. Yet, the depth of her pain resonated with him, and the battle within him grew stronger. "Do you even love me?" he asked, voice trembling with both hope and fear. "Or was I just part of the vision you painted for yourself?" The question hung in the air, charged with the weight of what could be. As she opened her mouth to respond, the world seemed to pause, every second stretched thin. Jake held his breath, heart racing, battling the instinct to flee from the answer he feared. Emily's eyes glistened, uncertainty clouding her features. I don't know," she finally admitted, and with that, everything felt more fragile than before. Jake stood there, mind spinning. Could love really survive the shadows of betrayal? The melody of their relationship now played a haunting tune, and he wondered if it was time to close that chapter for good. As he turned away, facing the darkened window, he felt a chill run down his spine. It flickered like a warning sign. Was it truly the end? Or was there still a chance to salvage what they had, the dreams, the laughter, before it was too late? The sound of the front door clicking shut echoed in the silence. Jake leaned against the window, feeling the weight of his choices like a stone anchored to his heart. Outside, the night was still. Stars twinkled above as if mocking the chaos swirling within him. Emily stood there, helplessness etched on her face. Maybe she thought he would reach for her, pull her close, and everything would magically snap back into place. But he couldn't. The lies stung too deeply, every sweet memory tainted by the knowledge of betrayal. "Jake," her voice trembled, breaking the silence as she stepped forward. He turned to meet her gaze, hardened yet softening under layers of longing. "Can we just cut the noise?" he said, frustration spilling from his lips. "Just tell me the truth. Why did you let it come to this?" Her shoulders sagged, vulnerability washing over her like a tide. "I was scared, okay? Scared of losing everything and everyone. Scared enough to lie." Jake's voice rose, filled with confusion and pain. Each question felt like a stab. "Scared enough to risk us." Emily's chin quivered as she searched for the right words. "I wanted us to have a life that was perfect," she admitted. "But I know it was never going to come from a place of lies. I thought money could fix it." The weight of her words hung heavy in the air, and for a moment, Jake saw the girl he had fallen in love with, the dreamer who believed she could paint a perfect life, oblivious to the shadows lurking in her own heart. It's too late, Em. The finality in his voice cut them both deep, and he shifted the weight of his body, like a man contemplating walking away from the last flicker of hope. I can't just pretend like nothing happened. I don't know where we go from here. Panic flashed across her face. We can find our way back, Jake. Relationships need work, and I'm willing to fight for us. I love you. Her plea echoed through the room, filling the emotional void with desperation. Jake felt torn, a tumult of pride and love waging war in his chest. Love was a risky game, his heart was not an open door, and the bruises were still too fresh. You have to understand, love alone doesn't solve everything. You broke something in me, he said, emotion thickening his voice. Trust is a fragile thing, and I don't know how to rebuild it. Her eyes glistened with tears, reflecting a desperate kind of hope. I need you to let me try, she whispered, each word drenched with sincerity. I can't change the past, but I want a future. I want us to face this together. Jake looked at her, really looked, trying to weigh her sincerity against the hurt. Can love really heal this? The question hung between them, a fragile thread stretched between past mistakes and future possibilities. Emily stepped closer, the urgency of the moment flooding her features with warmth. If you let me, I promise to show you every day how much you mean to me. We can be stronger than this. His heart thudded painfully in his chest. 1,000 thoughts swirled in his mind, battling for dominance. He desperately wanted to believe her. But trusting again after the betrayal felt like standing on the edge of a cliff, peering into an abyss. As the moonlight seeped through the window, illuminating their shared pain, Jake took a deep breath. Maybe they weren't finished yet. But the question lingered painfully, would love be enough to mend the broken pieces? Can we truly begin anew? He asked, voice barely a whisper, each word laced with uncertainty. In that moment of possibility, the weight remained heavy, yet a flicker of hope ignited. Could they navigate through the aftermath of their choices? The door to reconciliation was ajar, but would they dare step inside? Jake took another breath, the air filled with tension, and raked his fingers through his hair, wrestling with the emotions coursing through him. He wanted to believe that they could patch things up, that they could be the couple they used to be. But that was the problem. How could he trust someone who had shattered that image in the first place? Emily's heart raced, each second stretching like an eternity. You don't have to decide right now, she said softly, trying to bridge the gap that felt nearly insurmountable. Let us take a step back. We can talk about it, maybe even see a therapist. Whatever it takes. Therapy. Jake chuckled bitterly. You think talking about it will fix a couple of lies? It's not just about the lies. She pleaded, stepping closer. It's about us. About how much I love you. I need you to understand I never intended for things to go this far. The tears in her eyes twisted his heart. She looked so vulnerable, so lost. Part of him wanted to reach out, comfort her, but the other part held him back. You might love me, but it didn't stop you from hurting me, he replied, voice wavering. What you did, it cuts deep. Their silence hung heavy once again, the moon casting a pale glow that felt too serene for the turbulence in their hearts. Emily broke the quiet, her voice shaking. I'll do anything, Jake. I'm ready to face whatever comes next with you. Anything? He echoed, raising an eyebrow. You should know the stakes are high. Once trust is broken, it takes a long time to rebuild it. I know. Emily nodded, swiping at the tears slipping down her cheeks. But you have to give me a chance. We can't just throw this away. Look at all we've built together. Our life is waiting for us if we can just work through this, please. Jake turned to the window, the streets glimmering under the streetlights as if the world outside was oblivious to the storm brewing inside. Could he really risk it all? But then he thought of the good times, the laughter, the dreams, the way she lit up every room. It filled the crevices of his heart, offering both warmth and regret. Just a chance? He asked, the words tasting bitter and sweet together. Maybe they needed space, maybe a clearer view away from the emotional fog was what they needed to find their footing again. Maybe that's what we both need. Emily took a step back, surprise flashing in her eyes. You actually want to try? Even after everything? I'm not saying I've got it all figured out, he admitted, opening up a little. But I'm willing to see if we can work through things. Just know it won't happen overnight. I can wait, she declared, determination rekindling the hope he thought was lost. One day at a time. As they stood there, the room buzzing with newfound resolve, Jake felt a glimmer of possibility ignite within him. It wouldn't be easy, and the road would be rocky, but maybe this was their moment to redefine their love. He caught her eye, and for a brief moment, the weight of the past receded. So, what's our first step? He asked, a hint of a smile breaking through his stoic facade. Emily smiled, genuinely. We start with honesty. Let's talk about everything, no secrets, no holding back. Old wounds still throbbed beneath the surface, but his heart swelled at the thought of tackling them together. Jake nodded. I can do that. Yet, even as hope filled the air, a chill crept in. Would the truth they uncovered lead to healing or hopelessness? As they stood on the precipice of a new beginning, uncertainty hung thick. Was their love enough to withstand the weight of the revelations yet to come? The journey ahead loomed large, and the shadows of doubt danced around them, whispering questions that only time could answer. Jake had always approached the idea of truth with caution. Now, as he prepared to peel back the layers of their shared history, unease twisted around his stomach like a vice. Okay, let's do this, he finally said, settling back onto the couch, Emily's eyes watching him with a mix of hope and fear. Promise me, no holding back, she urged, her voice trembling but steady. I promise, he replied, forcing the words past the tightness in his chest. But you have to promise, too. No more secrets, Emily. Agreed. She inhaled deeply, steeling herself. I'll start. There were moments I didn't share with you, moments when I was scared or unsure. When I thought about us, I felt lost. Instead of coming to you, I made decisions that pushed us apart. I thought hiding the truth would protect us. I was wrong. Jake felt every word carve into his heart. His instinct was to close off, to protect himself from more pain, yet he knew he had to listen. What kind of decisions? He asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Hiding my feelings and other people. I should have never strayed into that territory. It was a mistake, fueled by fear, but I knew I'd hurt you the moment it started. She paused, eyes glistening with unshed tears. I never meant to cost you this much. You say you didn't mean to. But the choice was still yours. The weight of anger and sorrow hung in the air between them, a clash of emotions. She nodded, her chin trembling. I own that. I don't expect you to understand or forgive me right now. I just want you to know the truth. I want to fight for you. For us. Jake's hand squeezed the cushions beneath him, needing something tangible to grasp. The memories flooded back, both beautiful and agonizing. Yet beneath the hurt, there was a flicker of understanding. I need to know if there's more. Did you love them? Emily winced. No. I chased after something that wasn't real. I thought it was a way to escape the pressure we were under. But, it was a distraction, a mistake. Every time I think about it, I wish I could take it back. Her desperate confession twisted something deep within him. Part of him felt anger, but another part felt an echo of sympathy. He looked deep into her eyes, searching for any trace of deception. Do you love me? More than anything, she breathed, the sincerity in her voice tugging at the frayed edges of his heart. I realize how foolish I've been. I want to rebuild us. I need to show you that I can be the person you deserve. Jake searched her face, the vulnerability etched into her features. Could she really change? Could they truly start again after this? The reality of their situation sent chills racing over him, and the ghosts of their love competed fiercely with the wounds. "I want to believe you," he finally said, his heart pounding with the weight of his words. "Then let me prove it," she urged, a flicker of determination igniting in her eyes. The thought of trying to put the pieces back together had never seemed more daunting. But perhaps that flicker of hope was enough to start lighting a path through the shadows. Jake stood up, the sudden movement pulling Emily's gaze upwards, searching. "Okay," he said quietly. "Let us go for a walk. We'll talk more about this in the morning, when we're both a little clearer. Maybe getting some distance will help." Emily nodded, relief washing over her face. They stepped out into the night, the cool air brushing against their skin as they wandered into the darkness together, uncertainty looming but the promise of honesty brightening their path. As they walked, Jake couldn't shake the feeling that they were on the brink of something life-changing. Would they find strength together or discover a deeper rift? The clock was ticking, and the days before their wedding loomed large, shadowed by the past yet sparkled with the possibility of a new beginning. Jake held on to Emily's hand, determined to not let go, even as doubts whispered in his mind. Where would this journey take them, and could they truly forge a love strong enough to withstand the weight of betrayal? The night had just begun, and with it, a tempest of emotions awaited them both. The cool night air wrapped around them like a comforting blanket, but the tension between Jake and Emily felt like an electric charge. Jake walked with purpose, a steady rhythm to his steps, as emotions swirled in his mind. He glanced at Emily, whose eyes were now fixed on the ground, her brows furrowed in thought. "Where do we start?" Emily asked softly, breaking the silence. "Maybe we start by laying everything out," he suggested, trying to keep his voice even. "What do you want to change first?" She hesitated, her breath hitching just slightly. "I need to be honest about everything." "You deserve that, Jake. I want you to feel safe with me again." The sincerity in her voice ignited something within him, a mixture of hope and fear. "And what if laying it all out makes it worse?" "Then we deal with it together," she replied, looking up at him. "I can't promise it'll be pretty, but I can promise I'll be upfront." He rubbed the back of his neck, feeling the burden of the past pressing down even heavier. "Okay," he said, steeling himself. "Let's say you tell me everything. What's next?" Emily took a deep breath, the weight of her words evident in the way her shoulders slumped. "After that, it's rebuilding. We have to look at what we want together." Jake clenched his jaw. "What if I can't forgive you? What if I can't get past this?" Her eyes softened, the corners crinkling with concern. "Then we'll figure out what that means for us. But I can't bear to keep hiding. You deserve a partner who is open and who doesn't run from conflict." He nodded, absorbing her truth. It was bold, raw, and painfully real. He stopped walking, pulling her slightly closer as they faced each other. "You know, I'd rather hear it all now even if it hurts than to be left in the dark." Emily's arms wrapped around him, squeezing tightly as if to anchor them both in that moment. "I'm still scared," she admitted into his shoulder, her voice breaking just slightly. "We're both scared, Emily," Jake replied, pulling back slightly to look into her eyes. "But we have to try. For us." With a nod, Emily leaned closer, her voice barely a whisper. "There's one more thing I haven't told you. Something I wasn't ready to share before." Jake felt his heart drop, a nervous pit forming in his stomach. "What is it?" She took a shaky breath. "The guy I was with, it wasn't just a fling. I thought it was over, but we kept things continued for a while. I don't know how to explain it, but I was caught up in something I didn't understand." Jake's chest tightened, the confession hitting him like a punch. "How long?" Her gaze dropped again, and he could see the guilt swirling in her eyes. "It was a few months." It ended before I came back to you. But I was a mess. He needed to breathe, needed to process. I thought you said you didn't love him. I didn't. She cried, her voice rising in desperation. It was never about love. It was about escaping, about feeling wanted when everything else felt so heavy. But in the end, it didn't mean anything. It was just a mistake that turned into a nightmare. The night felt colder, shadows creeping closer as silence filled the space between them. Jake turned away, elbows resting on his knees as he tried to collect his thoughts. I don't know how we can move past this if you can't even be completely honest. I'm here, trying my best to be honest now, she insisted. I want you to see me, flaws and all. I can't change what happened, but I can build a future with you if that's what you want. His heart raced with conflicting emotions. Vulnerability, pain, and the flicker of hope intermingled as he searched for the path forward. I need time, he finally said, his voice steadier now. I need to think. This isn't something I can just brush off. I understand, she replied, her eyes misty. As they continued walking, an uncomfortable silence hung heavily, yet beneath it ran the current of possibility. They were at a crossroads with uncertainty looming on one side and an emotional rebirth on the other. The stars above twinkled like small beacons of hope, and with every step they took into the future, Jake felt the weight of the past beginning to shift, however slowly. But as they walked, the question lingered in the air, could they really build something stronger from the ruins of betrayal, or was this journey only setting them up for another fall? Jake took a deep breath, glancing at the shimmering stars above. Their light felt distant, much like the hope he was trying to cling to. Let us stop for a moment, he said, halting in his tracks. He turned to face Emily, feeling the weight of the moment settle heavily on his shoulders. Emily looked up, her expression a mix of worry and anticipation. What is going through your mind? He rubbed his temples. I'm just trying to piece everything together. That guy, it changed everything, didn't it? Yeah, she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. It did. I wish I could take it back. I didn't want to hurt you, truly. Then why did you? The words left his mouth sharper than he intended, and he instantly regretted it when he saw how her face fell. Because I was hurting, she replied, her voice cracking slightly. I didn't know how to handle everything, and I ran. I thought I could escape from myself, but I only made it worse. Jake's heart softened slightly at her vulnerability. He wanted to understand. He wanted to give her the chance to explain, but the bitterness still coiled in his heart. Did you ever think about what it would do to me? He asked, searching her eyes for a flicker of the love they once shared. Did you ever think about us? I did. Every day, she said, tears pooling in her eyes. But I was too scared to come back and face you. I thought you'd never forgive me, that I'd ruined everything. Maybe you have, he muttered, struggling to contain the frustration that bubbled just below the surface. Silence stretched between them, heavy and painful. But deep down, Jake knew he wasn't ready to throw everything away. He wanted to love her again. He just couldn't shake off the feeling of betrayal. Emily, I need you to understand how much this hurts, he said, lifting his gaze back to her. It's not just the physical act I can't wrap my mind around. It's the emotional connection you had with him. I don't know if I can bridge that gap. I know. She wiped a tear from her cheek. But I'm willing to fight for us. I can't change the past, but I want to work together to build something real. I swear to you, Jake, I've learned from this. I want to be better for you. He studied her, weighing her words carefully. Part of him wanted to grab onto them like a lifeline, while another part wanted to retreat, to protect himself from potential heartbreak. What if I can't forgive? What if I don't want this anymore? Then we'll figure it out, she replied, steadying her voice. But you have to give me the chance. Let us take this step by step. Can we do that? Jake's heart raced with uncertainty, but there was also a flicker of something else: desire for healing, for understanding, and maybe, just maybe, the inkling of hope. "Okay," he said finally. "But right now, I need space to process." "Of course," she said, not hesitating to step back. The longing in her eyes was palpable, but she respected his need for distance. "I just hope we get to talk again. I still want you in my life, Jake." As he turned away, the night air felt sharper, each breath laden with the weight of the unsaid. They were still at a crossroads, but with every step away from the raw honesty of their conversation, he felt the stark reality of the decisions looming before them. Would they find their way back to each other, or was this the beginning of a more painful goodbye? As he walked, the question gnawed at him, leaving an ache deep in his chest. The night was alive with the buzz of distant voices, laughter and music drifting through the streets. It felt like a stark contrast to his silent turmoil. He needed to understand what he really wanted, but most importantly, could he trust Emily again? Each step felt heavier than the last, and the shadows seemed to grow longer as doubt crept in. Would this journey lead to a reconciliation or a fracture he couldn't mend? Jake walked along the dimly lit street, the laughter and joy around him only accentuating his solitude. The warm summer air felt thick and oppressive as he fought against the whirlwind of thoughts in his mind. He never anticipated an encounter like this. It felt surreal, like he was standing outside of himself, watching the scene unfold with an overwhelming sense of disbelief. What did he want? Did he want to believe her? Trust her again? The memory of Emily's tears still lingered in his mind, the sound of her voice trembling as she spoke those painful truths. It tugged at his heart. But every time he let a flicker of hope surge, the specter of her betrayal loomed large, darkening everything she said. How could love feel so tender yet so sharp at the same time? Finding solace in a small park nearby, Jake sat on a weathered bench. The distant music floated by, blending with the rustling leaves. Everything felt so normal around him, yet his whole world was out of whack. He glanced up at the sky again, willing the stars to offer some clarity. "What do I do?" he whispered to the night, almost expecting an answer. His phone buzzed in his pocket, breaking the silence. He pulled it out, and seeing Emily's name flash on the screen ignited a flurry of emotions. Should he answer? Could he face her again so soon? Just before he could press decline, he felt a rush of nervous energy compel him to swipe the screen. "Hey," he managed, trying to keep his voice steady. "Jake." Her voice sounded shaky, vulnerable. "I didn't know if you'd pick up. I just wanted to see how you're doing." "Honestly? I'm struggling," he admitted, feeling the raw truth clawing its way out. "Everything feels off. I didn't expect this, any of this." "I understand. It's really hard, and I don't expect things to be okay right away," she said. He could almost hear the weight of her regret in her words. "But I truly want to work through this. I need you to know that." Jake closed his eyes, imagining the life they'd built together, the plans, the dreams. It was like holding a fragile piece of glass, knowing just how easy it could shatter. "What do we even do now?" he asked, barely masking the pain in his voice. "I think we take a step back, figure out what we both want." She paused for a moment, and he could hear gentle breaths on the other end. "I know I messed up. But I love you, Jake. I keep hoping we can rebuild from this." His heart beat faster at her words. Rebuild? Could they really? Can love really survive this? He questioned softly. "Maybe it can," she replied, fragile hope weaving into her voice. "But it has to be mutual. We both need to want it." He hadn't even processed his own feelings. "I want to, but do I trust you? How do I know you won't hurt me again?" "I can't promise you that," she confessed, sincerity evident in her tone. "But I'm willing to show you, to work hard for us. All I ask is that you let me try." The night seemed to pause, holding its breath as they navigated uncharted waters. What if he gave her another chance? What if trust could be rebuilt? Then, suddenly, Jake heard a shout coming from the direction of the park entrance. A group of people appeared, laughter mixing with an undertone of their earlier conversation. He could see them approaching, their excitement contrasting heavily with his conflict. "I have to go," he said, the immersion of reality pulling him away from the heavy moment. "But I'll think about what you said." "Jake, please don't take too long." "I want this, I want you," she said, desperation peeking through her voice. "I know, Emily. I just need to figure it out if it's worth it." He hung up and sat in silence, the carousel of confusion spinning in his mind. As the group passed, he caught snippets of their laughter. A fleeting glimpse of what life could be. Could he really step back into that world? Would finding a way back to Emily be worth the possible pain, or was this a bridge too far? The question lingered, echoing in his mind, propelling him into an uncertain night. Jake knew he had to confront his feelings head-on, but as shadows enveloped him, he couldn't shake off the thought, was this the start of healing or just more heartbreak waiting to happen? The sun rose slowly the next morning, painting the sky with strokes of pink and gold. Jake lay in bed, staring at the ceiling while thoughts swirled in his mind like a restless storm. He hadn't slept well, tossing and turning, memories of Emily flooding back. Every laugh, every whispered promise felt tainted now. What was he supposed to believe? The past loomed large, while uncertainty clawed at his heart. He glanced at the clock, it was already late. Everything was moving on without him. After laying there for too long, he swung his legs over the edge of the bed, his feet touching the cool wooden floor. He needed to get out, breathe fresh air, clear his mind. With a tight knot in his stomach, he resolved to go for a run. It had always helped before, a rhythm to ease his worries. Lacing up his sneakers, he felt a familiar resolve. The pounding of his heart matched the rapid pace of his thoughts as he stepped outside. He started slow but soon picked up speed, his legs moving faster than his brain could keep up. As he ran through the neighborhood, the sights and sounds of life buzzed around him. Children played in yards, neighbors greeted each other, and dogs barked joyfully. It should have felt normal, comforting, but all he could feel was the vacuum of his own reality. What if he forgave Emily? What if he let her back in? Just as quickly as that thought formed, another surfaced. What if he got hurt again? He thought of their dreams, the wedding plans, and a wave of sadness washed over him. They had planned so much, believed it could work. Eventually, he found himself at a small cafe where they used to go on weekends. A familiar spot. He stood outside for a moment, hesitating. The scent of fresh coffee wafted through the door, urging him inside. It was crowded, the chatter melding into a comforting hum. Maybe he could find solace in a cup of coffee and a scone. He took a seat by the window, the sunlight warming his back. As he sipped his coffee, the warmth spread through him, but his thoughts remained clouded. He noticed a couple at the next table, their fingers entwined, sharing soft smiles and secret whispers. A part of him longed for that connection again, the simplicity of love untarnished. His phone buzzed again. Jake glanced at it, the screen lighting up with Emily's name. Hesitation gripped him, his heart fluttering with both dread and a flicker of hope. Should he talk to her? Could he say the right words? After a moment, he took a deep breath and answered. "Hey. Jake, Emily's voice came through, shaky as ever. "I'm glad you picked up. I've been thinking about us about everything." "Yeah, me too," he replied, his voice steady, but the weight of the conversation loomed. "I'm at the cafe we used to come to. It's kind of strange being here alone. Can I come?" she asked, a hint of desperation lining her tone. "I just want to talk." "No pressure, just talk." Jake hesitated, his heart racing. A part of him wanted to pull away, keep her at arm's length. But another part longed for closure, for understanding. "Okay. But I need honesty. I can't do this half-hearted." I promise I'll be honest, she replied softly, and just like that, they agreed to meet. He stepped outside once again, the cool air hitting his face like a bracing splash of water. The moment he'd been avoiding was impending. A sense of impending dread mixed with his hope for reconciliation filled him. Emily arrived a few minutes later, and the sight of her nervous, unsure was almost unbearable. It pulled at him, revealing layers of feelings he had buried. This was it, he was ready to face the truth. As she approached, he could see the reflection of a shared history in her eyes, one filled with love but also shadows of doubt. "Jake," she started, voice trembling slightly. "Let us talk." He gestured toward an empty table. Here went nothing. But before they could sit, their past collided with their present when a familiar voice interrupted them. Jake's heart skipped a beat, and the shock of the uninvited guest was the last thing he expected to see. "Jake? Emily?" It was Paul, a friend from their past. The connection pulled Jake's focus beyond their fraught moment. What did he want? Why now? As questions flooded in, Jake steeled himself for an unfolding situation that might change everything. Would this unexpected encounter unravel their conversation further, or could it provide the insight they so desperately needed? Jake's heart sank at the sight of Paul. He hadn't expected to run into him here, of all places. A million thoughts raced through his mind, colliding and stirring up the emotions he had barely begun to manage. Paul was a reminder of the past, of a time before the cracks in his relationship with Emily had divided them. "Hey, guys." Paul greeted, his tone light, but Jake could sense the tension in the air. "What's up? Fancy running into you both here." Emily swallowed hard, glancing at Jake, her face painted with anxiety. We were just catching up," she replied, her voice wavering slightly. Right, Paul said, eyes darting between them. "Well, maybe I'll join you. It's always good to talk things out in a group." Jake shot Emily a look, and she nodded an unspoken agreement to let this play out, at least for now. "Sure, take a seat," Jake said, trying to sound more at ease than he felt. As they settled in, the air felt charged with unspoken words. Jake sipped his coffee, avoiding Paul's expectant gaze. With every passing second, Jake felt as if they were under a microscope. If only Paul knew what rattled behind the surface of this seemingly casual meeting. "So what's been going on?" Paul asked, casually leaning back in his chair, as though they were just catching up over old times. Emily glanced at Jake, and he felt the heavy weight of her unvoiced fears. "Life has been a bit complicated," she said slowly, carefully choosing her words, "but we're working through things." "Oh, really? Like what?" Paul's interest appeared genuine, but Jake couldn't shake the notion that he had intruded upon something sacred. "Just relationship stuff," Jake muttered, irritation bubbling just beneath his calm facade. "Nothing we can't work out." "Of course," Paul replied, not quite picking up on the tension. "Put some energy into it, and you can solve anything, right?" Jake's brow furrowed. Those words hung awkwardly, reminding him of a truth he didn't want to face. "You don't know the half of it," he said, his tone sharper than intended. "Okay, geez, tough crowd," Paul said, hands raised in mock surrender. "Just trying to lighten the mood." Emily shifted uncomfortably in her seat and broke the silence. "Jake and I are navigating through a lot of things. I've made some mistakes, and now we have to figure out if we're even on the same page anymore." Paul's brows knitted together, the seriousness of what she said seeped through. "Wow, Emily, wow. That's big." Jake felt a pulse of urgency. This was the moment for truth. "Yeah, it's big, Paul. We're trying to decide whether we want to rewrite our story or close the book entirely." Paul nodded, a mix of understanding and sympathy in his gaze. "Dude, I get it. That's tough. But if you really care about each other, then maybe you need to give it everything you have." As the warmth of hope flared in Jake's chest, he glanced at Emily. "That's what I want," he said, voice steady but vulnerable. I want to figure this out together. Emily's eyes met his, and he could see the relief washing over her. I want that too, Jake. I want to be all in. Paul smiled softly. Then you guys gotta talk, no holding back. Just bare your souls and see where it takes you. Jake felt something shift in the atmosphere. The presence of their friend felt oddly grounding, allowing Jake to gather his thoughts clearly. You're right, Jake said, turning away from Paul and back to Emily. It's time to speak the truth aloud. Paul, thanks, but we need some time alone. Paul looked slightly taken aback but nodded, standing up from the table. Sure thing. Don't get too emotional without me, you're both gonna sort this out. Good luck, guys. As Paul left, an unexpected silence engulfed the space, but Jake and Emily did not shy away from it. Instead, it seemed to create an opening, a chance to step into vulnerability without any masks. Okay, back to us, Jake said, breaking the stillness. There's so much to unpack. I need to understand how to move forward. I know, Emily replied softly. And I want to honor that. Promise to listen. Jake took a deep breath, steeling himself for the task. Ahead. I want you to tell me how you really felt during those months. Don't hold back. I need the truth. Emily's gaze bore into him, and the sincerity in her eyes made his heart race. I was scared. For a while, I felt like I was losing control of everything around me, our future, my insecurities, the thoughts of not being good enough. The lies started as a way to protect myself, but they only ended up hurting us more. Tell me what you felt when you were with him, Jake pressed, emotions curling into a tight ball. I need honesty, Em. She hesitated, tears pooling in her eyes. I was lost. What I did was wrong and misguided. During that time, I thought I could escape the pressure of our relationship. But it was a temporary distraction, a dangerous one that turned into a regret I can't change. Jake swallowed hard, the pain carving deep grooves in his heart. But did you really love him? Not at all. I realized that what I thought I wanted was just a fantasy, she said, her voice trembling. In the end, it made everything so much worse. It brought me back to you, to the very realization of what I truly value. The sincerity in her expression cut through the walls he built around himself. I wish it didn't have to come to this, but I want you to know that I love you, Jake. More than anything. I want to show you every day because I can't take this for granted again. Jake's heart ached, a mixture of sadness and yearning spiraling within. I have to see if you really mean it, he said slowly. I want to believe you can change, but trust it takes time. I can't rush this. Emily nodded, tears streaming down her cheeks, a hint of hope amid her pain. I understand, and I'm willing to do whatever it takes. Just promise me that we can work together. I promise, Jake replied, feeling the weight of their history hanging above them. I don't know where we'll end up, but I want to try. Let us navigate through this storm, together. In that fragile moment, a lighter air surrounded them, a sense of determination anchoring their connection. The sunlight flooded through the cafe windows, as if offering its blessing upon their reconciliation. The shadows still loomed, unknown, but for the first time, Jake felt a faint flicker of hope igniting once more. There was a long road ahead, but together, maybe they could embrace either pain or love, whatever lay at the end of their journey. He reached across the table and took her hand, intertwining their fingers, feeling the familiar warmth return. Together, they were ready to step into the light, one day, one moment at a time. As the sun set outside, illuminating the world in shades of orange and purple, Jake and Emily prepared to face the future with open hearts, ready to transform their pain into strength, one conversation at a time. Now is your chance to be part of this incredible journey. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and keep the good vibes flowing. Comment below your feelings about this stirring transformation, and share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second to share. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.